Okay, that seems to be good. We're live for the first time in a month. Okay, guys, let's see what we can do.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
And welcome to another episode of Corpse Garden Storytime. Corpse Garden reads. I don't know. We're going back to our roots today because we have so many awesome things to say. This is Patty, Patricia Harris, one of my most favorite people. I'm so grateful you're here.
And there's
welcome to our hi. Hi, Jason. We love you.
Hey.
Everybody's gonna halfway to Halloween thing, so we figured we'd do one of our own with scary stories. And two of my favorite people are in that screen over there. I don't know if I'm pointing in the right area. I think this way. Which way is the right direction? I never know. Wow.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome back to the show. How are you guys doing?
Okay.
I probably have a stomach disease.
Oh God.
Literally, I don't know this thing.
Okay.
I hope you feel better soon, dear one.
I'll try not to.
I really hope you do try to feel better, but either way, that's up to you. It's your own body. Who am I to say? So, hi.
Hello.
How is your
him I was going to be on here, so of course he had to come up and say hi.
Like I told Jason to begin with, I would stand in front of the president himself and say, yeah, this is my buddy. Anyway, hello, Mr. President. We came to say hi. So I don't expect that to ever happen. Live on TV in front of the president and everybody. It's one of those, I'm not that.
Yeah.
And
so I actually have a story from childhood that fits your theme. And that's why I came on.
That is good. I have brought one that I wrote.
Yeah, there was always a couple different, it depended on who told it. There was always a couple variations of it. I grew up all over the place, but when I was 11, I moved into my stepfather's house in Southern Maryland. We lived in Port Tobacco. And there's a story over in Port Tobacco of a ghost dog. A blue tick coonhound, to be exact. So the story, the basic story, and it, like I said, it changes. But the basic story is that this man and his dog stayed at a tavern, and one thing after another, he bragged or told or said something, and the thieves at the tavern decided that he had money they could take. So they followed him from the tavern or a house, or I'm not sure. The house was Rose Hill, and I'm not sure if it was a tavern or somebody's house. Like I said, the story changes depending on who tells it. Anyway, the thieves followed him, and they picked up a big rock and smashed him and his dog in the head, killing them both, and took his money. Well, the thieves, Nanjamoy, which is not far from Port Tobacco, is mostly swampland. The area, the joke is that the Nanjamoy mosquitoes can carry off small cattle. So the thieves took off with the money through Nanjamoy, and they are said to have been followed by the ghost of the dog, who proceeded to, from what all the stories say, kill the thieves. And it's said that every year on the same day, he is seen again, the ghost of the dog. And he will follow the same path that the thieves took. The plantation or house or whatever that Rose Hill property was has a rock on it with a blood stain that will not go away. It is literally been there for ever. And depending on the story, my stepfather always told it that the dog would lose parts as it went. You know, the ghost of the dog would lose parts as it went. So depending on where you saw it, sometimes it would be whole, sometimes it would be 3 legs, sometimes it would be 2. And it would always end up being different depending on the day he was telling it. My stepfather was a man who really did know how to tell a creepy story when the man wanted to. But yeah, Southern Maryland, the blue tick hound or the blue dog, depending on who's telling the story, I figured it'd be one that you would enjoy.
Oh yeah, it definitely fits. Oh, like yesterday, for those who had not joined us, on Shivers, Stephen had got had gotten some wonderful haunters to come on. I think there were 4 in all, and they had told the haunted like experiences and other experiences that they've had, or people around that they knew had at their haunts, or from investigations of how ghosts had interacted with them. And the whole it being parts would make sense because I've seen an arm with just the t-shirt in my house. Okay. Or I'll just get the set. Or there's a random torso floating. It's weird. And the whole idea of having that story and you get to this repeating ghost dog continuously going across the path. I love that.
Yeah, he used to say that he lived in a house that was along the path, and you know, he said that he could look out his front door on that day and watch as the dog went by. Hi, Stefan.
And this is the part where I stop and say, "Hey, everybody, go check out Fracture Mind Publishing." Stefan has some amazing authors at Fracture Mind Publishing, including now Patty has joined them with a story in The Monster I Love. There's two that Dell and Raz have been, two anthologies. So on top of our people, they have so many other great people, him and Lily. So go check them out. Please continue.
Um, Now, whether he actually did or not, or whether he was using the story just to scare us, I don't know. But he also talked about living in a house where there was a Revolutionary War soldier that would come down the stairs. And I don't know how much truth was in it. That one I don't have any other proof of, other than this was a story he told. But it was one of those that the way he described the sound on the stairs, it was just creepy. The dog, he focused on a lot of the same elements that everybody else told. It was something that, you can look it up online. It's legitimately there. I think I sent you like 3 different links that had the story.
I will add them to the group later, guys. I haven't had time yet. It's been a full day.
But when he talked about the Revolutionary soldier, it was just so much focused on the sound. It was like a hollow wood sound of this ghost coming down the stairs. And, he would describe the dog, and it was almost comical the way he described the dog, because this image of this dog losing parts as it's going through, it makes sense, but it was comical in a way. It wasn't scary.
Oh, yeah.
But the one he told about the Revolutionary soldier, that one was freaking scary.
Oh, yeah. Our Revolutionary soldier, it wasn't one that, it's one of those that we could picture because we saw. On the last episode, I had told this story. There were kids that we'd play with. Our cousins were always at our uncle's house, and we'd play with them. They always had the same clothes on. Every visit, the same clothes. So we just thought they wore them as play clothes,
Yeah.
And as we got bigger, they never got bigger. They were always the same age and size. And then one day after, we would always play hide and seek or play with the ball. They'd roll the ball back and forth with us, okay? We just thought they were real kids. And one day we had asked mom if they could come with us and have a sleepover like our other cousins has had. And she's like, "No, they're tied to the house. They're not going to leave because their uncle, not uncle, because their dad, it's my uncle's house. Their dad doesn't leave." "What do you mean they're tied to the house?" "Baby, they're dead. They're ghosts." And I'm like, I couldn't understand it then. And I know their dad was still there because my sister, my sister had got up to go use the bathroom, and there was an adult that met her in the hallway. He was dressed weird, but he's there in the middle of the night at our uncle's house. He must be trustworthy. So she walked with him to a room. And the room didn't look like it did when we were awake for her. It looked like when he was alive. And he had showed her this chest with toys and other stuff in it. And she's like, "Okay, I will come play with it when we get up. I gotta go back to bed. I'm sleepy." And then when she got up, he was gone. My parents were like, "Okay, you met your uncle." And it was great, but also he was dead. He'd been dead for a long time. and the chest was still there, but the room did not look like it was the only thing that was still there from when he was alive. It did not look like that when she got up. And it was one of my favorite things about that house. They're still there and they interacted with us, but I never knew. We didn't understand because they look like real people to us. They
Yeah.
hide and seek and rolling balls back and forth. How are we supposed to know they're dead? We're too little to understand the clothing thing.
And children actually do see ghosts more easily than adults do. So that doesn't surprise me in the least. I don't
And
know if
my
it's
mom could always bring receipts.
Yeah.
Sorry, please continue.
Well, I don't know if the reason why children I don't know if the reason why children see ghosts better is because they still believe in magic or what. But Stefan put me in
We're
bad.
not old enough. I know. Children have not gotten to the point where they are taught common sense. The
Exactly.
problem with a lot of this is what people call common sense. With my mom's story, she could usually bring receipts. Like the burns are still there. And because one of the houses, she didn't want to go in there and she wouldn't stay in there long. And after it was a day and they just ran away because the ghosts in the house were bad. They were evil. She could feel that. They burned them. They burned her parents. That's how they believed her.
I've got one in my attic that is, I want to say malicious, but he's only malicious for certain people.
Ah.
It's like if there's a whole lot of noise, I'll feel in him and he'll be angry feeling. Most of the time, we keep the attic door blocked off so we don't feel him. But he's still there.
Yes, it is a good safe word. But normally I go with pineapple. Thank you.
Mine's banana, thank you.
Pineapple. But anyway, it's like the stories. If you look in that, the story that I had put in Allight Menagerie. All of when you look at it, there you could find the truth in the story.
Right.
Because they weren't originally my stories. I just put a new coat over it, the entity, the repeater ghost, and the little boy. The little boy was mine, but the other two were mom's.
I think in a lot of ways, all stories have a veneer that the writer puts over it, but some element of them are going to be, hi Mike, some element of them are going to be external, I want to say.
Oh yeah.
And I got into an argument with my eldest over this. I was doing a redo of a fairy tale. And he said, but do you know how many times that's been done? And I said, yeah, but it hasn't been done by me.
It's like that Romeo and Juliet at the beginning. This is a story that has been told before. And now we're going to tell it again, but different.
It doesn't matter if it's been told 1,000,000 times before. If you haven't been the one to tell it, you're going to put your own twist on it.
Dude.
And like my stepfather would tell that dog story. He would tell it differently every time.
Yeah.
You've commented before that my Campfire Creepy is different every time I tell it.
It is.
It doesn't matter if it's been told a million times before. It doesn't mean it's not going to be different.
It's like, well, most all of Raz's stories. It's just the last one I like put like the great notice in is Lost Creek. Because
Mhm.
if you look on Reddit, it is different from the blog. And if you look at those to the one he told live, all three are different. Now, the one in the book, that one's way shorter and different. All of them. And the reason that the Lost Creek has been a thing is just like Sunday, it was a great day for Lost Creek.
I think that has something to do with being more of a storyteller than a writer in a way. Because,
Oh, yes, he is.
yeah, Raz, I love him dearly, but he's more of a storyteller than a writer. Because, yes, he's a writer, but you put him in a spotlight where he can actually tell a story and he comes alive. It's like the story takes over.
Oh, yeah. And he's commented on this before. And the problem is, I am not a verbal storyteller. I'm not.
Not
And
everybody is meant to be.
I can honestly say without a shadow of a doubt, I can write a story and then I go over and over again. Okay, no problem with that. You still are titled Mike. And it it does aggravate him, but it's not a forte of mine. It's like the numb, what did I call it? Confused and numb. I ended up, not only did I go over it 14 times, I had somebody help me with the paramedic parts to get it right. But if I had tried to tell the story the way I saw it in my head, I'd trip on it. Because if you look at what I just told you about when I was a kid, it is different from, it is more detailed than yesterday because I've had more time to think about it. And it's not a skill I am good at practicing.
Well, it's funny. I've had a couple people comment that my stories end up being very poetic in nature. You know, they have more a verse way of how they're told. There's not as much straightforward. I'm a poet at heart. I'm not a writer. I mean, I know poets are writers, but I'm not a story writer.
The amount of poetry you have published is daunting. And I say daunting because I'm trying to go through and make ads for the books, okay? But also, I love every single one of them. I'm not saying it is bad what you've done. I'm saying it's like, holy cow, that's why you still get random graphics. I haven't done this one yet. I should do that so I can put that up.
I looked it up and I've had this conversation with myself a couple of times lately. I'm embarrassed by it. When is the word prolific too much? And I ask that because Emily Dickinson was considered a prolific poet. Thank you, Mike.
Oh,
But
yes.
Emily Dickinson was considered a prolific poet. In her lifetime, she wrote 1,800 poets. 1,800. E. Cummins is considered a prolific poet. Lifetime of work, 2,690, I think. I've written over 2,900 poems at this point.
Okay, let's look at this. Okay, it says prolific Present in large numbers are quantities. Plentiful. Okay? We see the definition. You are the definition. And this is not an insult. This is a well, that is the truth. That is a fact. You are the definition. Cuz holy cow.
And the thing is, I don't do it intentionally. It's just this has always been my focus. Everybody, most neurodivergents have some sort of special interest. Mine has always been poetry. Mine has always been poetry. Mine has always been books. And now I'm sitting there wondering, was that as weird as everybody thought it was? Because literally my family used to joke that if you couldn't think of anything else to get Patty, get her a book. They were buying me romance novels when I was like 10 years old because they couldn't think of anything else to get me. I'm talking, the little Harlequin novels. So it was just something that was entertaining. It was me. I could go through those in an hour and be happy. Now I'm sitting there going, now I know how to make them, and it's a great gift, but it takes so much time to make them that I feel bad for going through them so fast.
At this point, I know how long it's taken them. It has taken, JC, see you later, JC Lynn. It's taken her years. It's taken Karen Lynn years. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at it and I'm like, I finished it. I've reread it. I've read it 5 times. Because my brain and the poetry lately is I can't, my brain can't keep doing the stress thing. I can't, it's like you can't keep worrying. You can't be stressed. And so Patty has given you all these things. Make them. And now I have like a decent sized stack of notebook paper with 2 to 3 poems on each side, except for a couple of them. It's like there's 2 of them where the whole entire front and back are one poem, but it's like, well, you're calmer and you've written a whole lot of poetry. And I'm like, where did this come from?
One of my therapists when I was younger told me that poetry is a coping mechanism. I took it to heart.
Yeah. It is. It is the mechanism, and you've given me prompts, and it's made it easier.
And right now, the only book that is actually on my desk, that's only because I have books everywhere. But the only book that has managed to stay on my desk is a poetry book.
Do you have any idea how much of these on this thing are of you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, within reach, I've got 2 or 3 other books, but the only one that's actually currently on my desk because it's just...
My desk was stolen by my husband.
And well, if I had known years ago that I could do what I'm doing now, I might have been doing it years ago.
The problem is the last nuns I did anything with or watched were on anime, and they were very good at with firearms. So yeah, this would be a fun idea. I just don't know, dude. I don't know how I'd work in that.
I'm trying to get my boyfriend to write the story that he has in mind for that. He has an idea, and I don't want to spoil all of it because I really want him to frickin' write it.
Or
That, well, he wants to make Jack the Ripper female and immortal and originally a nun. And I'm not going any further than that, but I really want him to write it because he's got it burning in my head.
so you could do like I've done with Pile and Tie Hand. Have him tell you to you in a video. I've uploaded it to YouTube so I can save it and get the transcript and work on it from there.
I've suggested that, and he's like, but I'm not sure where I want to go with this. And he's being persnickety about it. So it'll probably be a couple of years before I get him to really sit down and write it, whether I want to know the story or not.
I had hoped the Raz would join us by now.
I would.
Okay, I'm gonna tell another story while so my mom and her family, because there were like 5 kids, uh they were in a new house and they just moved in, and this is how my mom found out she had a repeater. She woke up and she looked at the door because the door opened and there was a man standing there with a gun, and he shot at her, and he shot at her sister, and then brought it back. I had hoped he would join us, Stefan, and then he brought the gun back and shot himself, and he dropped to the floor and he disappeared. She crawled to the foot of the bed and found out he was gone. And then he'd come back and continue doing this every night
Oh,
until they left. And she had no idea what to do with that because she didn't learn how to start dealing with these things until she got older. And it's like insane how this works, man. Because there is a specific thing to do
for
with
each
these things that I didn't even know until I talked with Raz.
Yeah. Honestly, I can't imagine what it must be like for them to be stuck. So,
I don't know if they even notice they're repeating over and over again. They keep having this feelings over and over. Because I've at Cincinnati Fair Fest, Mary Nell was talking about having one over there that they had found. A repeater that is constantly going over and killing, going through the stuff, all the emotions, and then killing himself, and then redoing it constantly over and over.
Good night, Mike.
Oh, I didn't. It hasn't went down. Oh, he does say good night. Good night. I love you. You're awesome.
Sorry, I
I
just
will
noticed it.
share
That's
the
why I
thing
said something.
from her art later. Dude, yes. Do you have another story to tell?
I'm trying to think. There was one at the there's one at the Girl Scout camp I went to, but I don't remember all of the details, so it's kind of it was one of those that every Girl Scout camp you go to has, the but I can't remember which one this was, but the place was supposed to be haunted and I can't remember it real well. Somebody, if I remember right, had hung himself there, and the girls were supposed to stay out of that building because he was angry. I can't remember all the details there. It's kind of the weird. I halfway think they made it up just to keep us girls out of that building.
Yeah, there's an entire possibility of that.
And that's the thing about urban legends. That's always a possibility. And I think there's a son trying to peek his way in. You got any ghost stories?
Hi.
Oh, not ghost story, but you know that one house that we were living in Mineral County?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the kitchen there was that ghost with like the goblin nose.
I think I need clarification. I don't remember that one.
Seriously.
Yeah.
We were sleeping on the floor when we first got there, and all in the main room, and I saw it in the kitchen. I told you about that, and you were like, "Oh, hell no."
Apparently there was a ghost in our house when we moved back to West Virginia.
You don't remember that?
I don't remember that. But then again, I was under a lot of stress at that point.
Okay.
About the attic ghost, at least.
Yes, I did tell him about the attic ghost.
Oh, hey, you remember telling me about the ghost of that one dude that makes it smell like cigarettes?
Oh yeah, there's also a ghost in my hallway that the only thing that exists there is the smell of cigarettes. None of us smoke.
Okay.
So, and people that
It's like, why
come to
does
the
it
house
smell like
actually
cigarettes?
believe in ghosts have actually noticed the smell. They're like, what is that?
Something weird.
Well, that's how I told my grandma's around.
We were putting
It's
in
the hairspray.
poop, Joe reached a certain level in the ground, and it started smelling bad, like an ashtray. Like his ashtrays when I was little smelled like.
Oh,
No idea why, but
lovely.
thought that was fun.
Oh, there's also a cat ghost downstairs now. We when our Luna died, we buried her on the property, and not only have we seen her, heard her, but the neighbors have seen her looking through the window.
Yeah. Leonard's still here. I've seen him. He's knocked down more pumpkins. He has a thing about pumpkins. Oh, finally. Yay! Hi, Raz.
You have a thing about pumpkins.
We were beginning to wonder if
I
you
have
were
a
going to
big
make
thing
it.
about pumpkins. No, my cat, his spirit is still here. He had his habit of every time I got a new pumpkin, he would knock it off. So of course they'd break. He's been dead
Ah,
since Christmas. He's knocked over the foam pumpkins for my sister
oh.
recently.
When I
And I'm
just like
like,
when I just strolled in here and heard something about liking pumpkins, I thought you were talking about that story I told you about forever ago about that guy that has relations with pumpkins.
no, not that. My cat just
Your cat
knocking
has
over
relations with
pumpkins to say
pumpkins?
he's no, he knocks over the pumpkins to say we're still here. He's still here with
Okay.
us.
Okay.
I've never seen him have relations with pumpkins. But then again, he's fixed.
Oh,
So
that doesn't matter sometimes, man.
yeah, with some dogs, no, definitely. But with him, I had never seen him try to do a deed. Anyway, hi, welcome back.
Hello?
We're so happy to hear you.
Yes.
Yeah. There's just so much going on with the move and just everything going on, man. I thought I'd be strapped back in and ready to broadcast sooner than I was, but yeah, still trying to figure shit out.
Yeah, it's hard. Life is hard right now.
It is, but it's mostly all hard for good reasons for a change, so that's always a plus.
That is good. Definitely a plus.
That is
Do
definitely a
you have a
plus.
story for us?
Do I have a story? What do you want a story about?
Spirit, a ghost of some type. Some type
So
of
that
ghost story.
one that I haven't told you before. Oh Jesus! Give me a minute. Let me think about this. Let me take it in. I do have a lot of good
Okay,
haunting stories.
oh yeah.
I managed to pull one that Friday here hadn't heard, so
Nice. I think I got one. I don't think I've ever told you guys about the butcher's house. Um,
I have no idea.
so over at the first haunted trail I worked at, my very first haunted attraction ever. I was 12, going on 13. Um, I've told stories about this area before. A couple different stories about the woods over there in the past on different shows. But the butcher's house was this old, really, really fucking old, 3-story house, just kind of on this weird jagged corner to where if like you didn't pay attention to the curb, like people had actually hit the house before. Um, no, this place was just it was decrepit. Sometimes you'd go by it and you would see fully paned glass windows. You'd go by it again 5 minutes later, and apparently that was an illusion because they were all boards now, right? They were all boarded windows over. Um, things like that, little things like that would change about the house all the time. Glass, no glass, boards, no boards. Sometimes no boards or glass. It just like the house would just morph when you look at it. Sometimes it was closer to the street. Sometimes it was farther away from the street. The original story about this place is this guy would he'd marry someone in the city, which was not very far away. But he'd had this little house in the country back before that area wasn't very popular. It was mostly just farms and old abandoned properties back then. He would marry this woman, and they would move out to his place in the country, and he would ritualistically murder her, devour some of her organs at different times, and then bury her in the earthen cellar of his home. Because you had your earthen cellar, your main floor, then your second floor, and then your attic. This went on for they don't know how many decades. In the late 70s, there was a call on the property from a neighbor that had just recently built a house over there, that there was a bad smoke coming from the yard. They'd heard screams and shouts, etc., etc. So the cops bust in. And when they bust in, this guy has got this woman strapped to a wooden dining table with a middle leaf out. And she's not conscious anymore. She's not alive. She's bled out at this point in time. And he was in the process of about to take a bite out of her heart when they shot him almost a dozen times. While he was being shot, he still took a bite of that heart before he finally ended up dying. When they dug out his property, because they smelled the backyard, they pulled 20 something women out of the backyard and around 2 dozen from the earthen cellar. I'm telling you all this because when I was young, this was one of the places I investigated because it sounded like a fun thing to do. I'd read the police reports about this place. Um, A family member of mine who I cannot name what was at one time a cop in that area, and would always tell you about like the unexplained things, like the strange cases and stuff that he'd heard about, and that sort of stuff. And sometimes I actually got to see police reports. Was really cool, super cool actually. So we decided we're going to go in, and this is back in the '90s when people forgot they had kids and no one gave a shit. So we went in to where the entrance was to the cellar, and we just busted the door in and went down in there. No, there's been no electricity to this place in probably a good 20 years, 30 years. Yeah, about 20 years by that point. But there was like a natural luminescence almost in the cellar, and it was night, so there's just a weird glow about the room that we never found a source for. But you could hear multiple footsteps on the floors above you. We assumed at first that other people were breaking into, and it happened sometimes in the '90s. You'd think you were cool staking on this place. You'd go to break in and find like 10 other kids already broken in that night. We weren't that worried about it. And the homeless wasn't a big issue in that area at all, so you rarely ever ran into that. We decided to go up the steps to the first floor and see what was going on. And we got to the first floor and the lights were on. Again, no power. No, there's no electricity to this place anymore. Oh, but the lights are on. The living room is very nice. It's got a nice living room, nice kitchen. Like it looks like it probably would have looked in the '70s. But everything looked almost new. Like it was a nice home. We go up to the second floor again. Every time we went to the main floor, we heard the steps above us again. Go to the second floor. We do the second floor, and as soon as you hit the stairs, everything's dark. You go upstairs, and the house is the second floor is just decrepit as fuck. Hardly anything at all, but there's like shit written all over the walls, unlike the first floor, which was pristine. And you're still hearing stuff. You're still hearing the noises above your head. So we decided to go to the attic. And the attic had a staircase also, just a smaller staircase, but it was an actual staircase. We went up there, and it was one of the ones that kind of reminded you of the cellar door that we went in the house from, where it's got a flat door laying above your head that you walk up to and have to push open. So we go up there, and again, it's completely dark. It's decrepit. We had lanterns, old school Coleman lanterns for the wind. We get up there, and there's like symbols all over the walls. There's like all kinds of different symbols from different religions, both good and bad. There's what looks like blood in one corner, just everywhere. There was chicken feathers, and we just heard this laugh, just all around the room, this deep, throaty laugh. And the door to the attic that we just all came through slams, and suddenly we cannot open it. And all we hear is 10 times the amount of footsteps we just heard on the floor below us. It sounds like they're coming up the stairs to where we are. It sounds like they're just running around going like ape shit. And again, we've not seen an actual person yet. The laughing stops. Our lanterns go out. The battery has died. If you've never gone through a lot of abandoned places that are haunted, spirits will pull charges out of like cameras, batteries, things like that. We didn't have the camera that time with us, but we had plenty of battery operated things that suddenly no longer functioned all at once. We were trapped in the room. We were probably trapped in the room for almost an hour, to the point where we were trying to open the windows. We were going to jump it. We were going to have like one person like kind of crawl/jump down, which would have been probably disastrous. But we also didn't want to be stuck there overnight for anything worse to happen or to get arrested the next day. It was right next to the FOP lodge, the Fraternal Order of Police, and they did do stuff over there sometimes. So we didn't want to get arrested. And I was going to be the one that jumped out the window, but luckily, all of a sudden, when I finally got the window open, our lanterns came back on and the door just opened by itself. And it was a heavy door, like laying flat like that. So there was a lot of strength behind it. So we get out, we run down to the floor beneath the attic. We're looking around. The floor looks pristine. The lights are on. There's not a bad mark on anything. There's no symbols now on this floor. Everything's just clean. We're obviously freaked the fuck out at this point in time. We run down the stairs to the first floor. The first floor is now the opposite. It's now decrepit, destroyed. There's almost no furniture. Copper's been ripped out of the walls. We stop. We go back up to the second floor. Now it's decrepit. We go back down to the first floor. Now it's pristine again. We do this a couple times. And then all the doors in the house, the doors that are, mind you, nailed shut to the outside, just start opening and closing, opening and closing. Windows. We're windows again this time. And they started opening and closing. The second floor was back to wooden slats instead of windows. And the bottom floor was back to pristine with, this time, also wood over the windows. So it's like the house was morphing. And the whole time, like, as we're trying to go back and forth and figure this out, you hear the laughing again coming from the attic. At some point in time, half of our number just left. They dipped out when the front door had opened one of those times. The rest of it, there's like me and my friend Kimberly and my other friend Josh, and we're the only ones in here now, just the three of us. There were 7 to begin with. And we can't get out because the front door is now not opening, and our way out into the basement now is not opening. We ended up having to stay in the house for another 4 or 5 hours before there was just nothing. The laughing stopped. The house started shifting and moving around and just stopped. And it was about 3 minutes before dawn. I'm gonna tell you, I've never ran out of a house so quick in my entire fucking life. We literally, when everything settled, the door was back to the barricaded nailed door. We just kicked it the fuck down and ran out eventually. Drove by the house for years after that. And every time you'd go by the house, sometimes, if it was the glass windows, especially from the attic, you'd see this guy just standing there, just staring at you, and he would watch you with his eyes, whether you walked by or drove by or biked by. It didn't matter. He would just watch you at any time of day. And everybody in that area has a lot of stories similar to that, worse stories. There was a friend of mine that got hurt really bad and actually got pushed down the stairs from the attic and broke his leg. Not in my group, but it was another time he went back with other people. But it was just a very angry spirit that really liked to fuck with people. The crazy thing about it to me was the glow, and I always thought that glow in the basement might have been like the innocence that was left behind there. Because that glow was kind of in the backyard a little bit, like that natural glow, like the innocent women that were murdered there. It's like they were still there because you felt calm in the basement if you could get down there. It wasn't frightening. It was peaceful in the basement in the yard. It's like you got up to the main floor, just utter chaos and changing and shifting. But they finally tore down that house. I'm going to say 2005, 2006, somewhere around there, and that lot's just sat there empty. But they never dug up the bodies from where the cellar used to be or the ones from the backyard. So this is just an empty plot ready for a home to be built on top of bodies. And there you go.
Dude,
That was awesome. I love that.
I do too.
It's right in here, right? It's right next door to Riverside. In the other direction.
Dude, the one from my story was in Athens, Georgia. I can't tell you exactly where, but yeah, that would be unkind to my uncle. But yeah, that is beautiful.
Yeah, if I ever tell you a
Well,
story, I can tell you
scary
where
as
I can take you and show you anywhere you want to see from any story I've ever told you or probably written.
Oh, I have no doubt. It's just one of those where how many parts of the story are real and embellished, and some of it, and there's part of it where I'm like, if that thing is real, I don't want to go meet it.
I can tell you
Type
that
of
was that
things.
particular
You know what I
story
mean?
for the first time ever was not embellished at all. That one was just the hard truth and the weird shit we
Okay.
experienced that night. And a lot of people like I said, have very similar things to say about the Butcher House of Heber Heights.
Dude. Yeah, that's fun.
It's a super weird place, or it was.
Anyway. I love
So
that
at least
story.
at least 3 of the stories tonight were actual real.
That
That's
happened.
the we don't know if the blue tick hound ever existed, but
it's
the other ones are real.
It existed. I just don't know how much of that story was embellished.
Gotcha.
It's existed.
Yeah.
There's too many people that've seen it. You can go to the place and see the rock. The rock exists. There's a blood spot on it. The stain's there. The hound is seen every year. It's just whether or not it loses parts as it moves along, or it goes through to follow the path or the other embellishments that I'm not sure of.
Gotcha.
But the hound is seen every year, so.
Okay. Raz, have you ever had just random pieces of the spirit's body just appear in front of you and it only be like the piece of the body that you see?
I've had like just hands or just eyes. Once, just a left foot.
That's an odd piece to see, just
Mhm.
the foot.
Like you can hear both feet hitting like ground, like and it was walking, but you can only see like the only thing actually like was slightly visible was the left foot. It was odd. It's like it couldn't manifest. It was there, but it couldn't manifest completely. Is what it felt like, and I'm pretty sure the hands and eyes ones were just on purpose.
Yeah. Or the forehead. I'm thinking the forehead was on purpose, but the the sleeve of the short sleeve white shirt and the arm and the tattoos was there. By the tattoos, I know who it was, but it was weird just to see the arm and the shirt clear as anything, and the rest of the body not
You know,
there.
I think I'm upset now because like I'm thinking back in my life, and I've just never seen ghost boobs. Like not once have I ever just been randomly flashed by a ghost, and I've seen a lot of ghosts, and you'd think at some point in time the odds are that would happen.
Now I'm wanting to see
Sorry,
Ghost
Michelle's
Boots.
losing it
That
over
just
here,
sounds
but
like it'd be
I'm being
fun.
serious.
Well, no, because we've been watching the show Ghosts.
Yeah, no, but I want to see boobies
Who doesn't?
Well, how do you know they're not
Yeah.
flashing you?
because none of the ones that have shown themselves to me have ever done it. That's my point.
Flower would flash you.
Yeah, but she's a fictitious character. Boobies.
I agree. That would be awesome. How many ghosts have y'all come across that are just there because they like haunting people?
Oh, a few actually, more than a few.
Do ghosts get high?
That is a good.
That is a good question, actually.
We're watching the movie Ghosts, and they just did the show Ghosts, the American version, and they just did a 420 episode where the ghosts found out they could get high. It's a really funny show, by the way. You should watch
Yeah,
it.
I have no idea. What I've
According to
seen
my
of it is
son, the
hilarious.
best show to watch when you're high is Dragon Ball Z. According to Joe, the best show to watch when you're high is Foamy. I think I agree with Joe.
I agree with both of those actually, because when I was growing up and getting into Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z in high school, I was high as fuck all the time, and I tried to watch a lot of it sober, and I was like, I have no idea what's going on, and that bothers me. But when I was high, I would just there was people running around doing shit, and I don't know, it was more fun.
I personally think
Yeah,
the best show
out
to
of
watch
all
when
the
you're
princes-
high is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
I've heard of that one.
It's funny as fuck, and there's a whole lot of boobs.
You know, I've never tried to watch that one high. Yes.
You had me at boobs. I'm gonna have to watch the show now.
It's on
although-
Hulu.
Did I pick, what is it called again?
Yeah,
Is it
they're
wrong
nice
to
boobs.
pick up a
Very
girl
nice
in the
in that show.
dungeon?
Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
Yes.
I'm gonna check that out.
I just realized something. I'm drinking Peter Rabbit tea in a horror movie character cup.
I thought I saw. Wait, who's that? I'm trying to see who's on your cup.
I see Pinhead.
I thought I saw Pinhead, and I thought I saw Freddy.
There's
I see it.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, yep, yeah. It's Bill Skarsgård, but I'll forgive you.
That half the I didn't pick the cup, the picture on the cup. I just received the cup because I've seen all the movies.
What's weird to me is you
He's
got
like,
these
"You need
80s
this
and
cup."
90s folks and like some good shit, and then suddenly, then it's that Pennywise. And don't get me wrong, I like Skarsgård's Pennywise. He's very different. But like, you would think that the Tim Curry Pennywise would be there with the rest of those characters.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just grateful I got the coffee cup, man.
Oh, it's super cool.
It is super cool.
It's just weird to me that I am like, Peter Rabbit tea in a horror movie cup. I wonder how many adults actually do this. And yes, we do have the Peter Rabbit tea set as well, but it's back.
Right.
Anyway, back to the insanity of the ghost stories. What has been your favorite ghost experience?
I've actually had a lot. I've gotten along with a number of ghosts in a lot of different places, like through my time. I've obviously had some very bad experiences that I've talked about many times before, but I think my favorite one right now is the little boy that lives in the hunt. When I first met that boy, he would be at the corner of your eye. If you go through the hunt working on something, you just see him run around a corner. And then we started playing hide and seek, and that's how we really started getting to know him. To the point now, if I'm in there and there's someone else not really working on anything, and I'm in there working on something, he will come up and stand right next to me. So I just tell him what I'm doing and I explain, and it's become a very good relationship. Also, if I'm irritated at someone, he'll know, and sometimes he'll go and prank people for me.
I think that's why he tripped me. that
Maybe,
night.
maybe,
For some reason, I fell over a fucking deer head and hurt my foot.
yeah, probably. But he plays tricks on people for me sometimes. I don't know how. There's been times when I've wondered if it's actually a spirit or fae. I'm not gonna lie. There's little things that he does, and there's things about him that lately have made me wonder if he's actually a spirit or not.
Well, no children have actually died in that location.
This is true. We looked up the history. A lot of people died here, but not any children. So
Then it
it's
sounds like you might be a fae.
right. I've been leaning lately to it, and I haven't seen him the last couple times I've been over there since we stopped living there. So, and this theory's been coming out a lot more since we moved.
And he knows I'm fae adjacent, so he would to play a trick on me would make perfect sense. Play a trick on another fae.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're we'll have to have a long talk with him when I go in on tomorrow or Sunday next time. There's so many people there. A lot of things are attracted to that building. So I'd say he's maybe Vic. It was my grandma's best friend's, well, guy friend. It's what they called each other at the time. When the bingo hall, where the hunt is now, when had the fire, my grandma's friend died from smoke inhalation. She's actually still in the kitchen, but she's a repeater. Has no idea that just because their daily routine doesn't interact. But her boyfriend Vic is in the back hall, and that's where my office is. And Vic,
He's an asshole.
no, he's actually a really nice guy. He doesn't talk. He didn't talk much when he was alive, like really. So really doesn't say much. He just nods or gestures. But every night he'd walk down the hall, knock on my door, or he'd just open the door, and I just wouldn't even have to look up. Like, hey Vic, what's going on? And you just hear like a sigh, or I'd have to look up, and he'd kind of shrug his shoulders. I got to the point where I had to start locking the door because I got tired at the same time. The same couple times every night, he'd just walk him down the hall and open the door. So I probably started locking the door, but then I'd have to open it if I felt like dealing with him when he knocked. But he's nice. He tells me he alerts me when things are going on in the haunt too. So that was helpful. So this is my
Yeah.
current ones that I like a lot.
Okay. That is cool. What about you, Patty?
It's going to sound weird, but I remember playing with this nice man when I was a little girl. And when I described him to my grandmother, she said that was my great-grandfather. I don't remember much else, but I remember playing. He would keep me safe.
Oh yeah, that's super cool, man.
But I don't remember a whole lot about it, just that I remember playing with him. He was there. I can't tell you anything more because, well, that was almost 50 years ago now, but I do remember telling Grandma about it and her saying, well, that was great grandpa. Okay.
That's so cool.
Awesome. What about you, Michelle?
Oh God. Jeez. There's been so many different ones that I've had. I don't know, like
I think you can think of a lot more negative experiences than positive experiences.
yeah,
in your
I've had
case.
a lot of negative experiences with spirits. They, on the other hand, love me, but the spirit world does not like me as much. Like, as far as like, I seem to attract negative spirits.
She probably didn't
A
start
lot.
meeting a lot of good ones until she started like hanging out with me.
Yeah, but like, no, I really don't. There was a little boy in the house next door when I was growing up that I don't think was a little boy because the house wasn't old enough to have a little boy that would have died in that time period that he claimed to have died in. So again, I think it was a Fey type creature, but
It's very possible.
like literally most of my encounters with spirits have been very bad.
There's a little girl that lived in the apartment. She was nice. She just
The
didn't
apartment.
talk much.
Which apartment?
After we lived with Jason the first time.
She
You
never
saw her?
No, I told you she never dealt with me.
Yeah. For some reason, spirits generally don't interact with her positively if they're around.
Because I'm Fey adjacent.
To the point where if we're somewhere like out and there's woods, all I hear is finger symbols for fucking hours on end until they irritate me, and I go tell them to shut up sometimes.
I'm there. I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything. They're just saying, "Hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
Come see me," and I can't come see them because I don't want to disappear
Okay.
for the rest of my life.
I think you should go see them.
Understandable.
I mean, Feyweed's better than this shit.
That's probably true.
I remember Ice Age finally came out. It was playing on TV. And I remember sitting on the couch talking with my mom, talking about how the different actors were in different TV shows and where we thought we saw them from and everything. And then we usually waited till the end to find the names to see if they were in those other TV shows. And this was one of my favorite memories because I love that movie and I have since watched all of them with my kids and got them all the DVDs because Cassie was obsessed with it when she was little. And I looked back at the time when the movie came out and started playing on the movie channels. My mom had died in 1999. The movie came out in theaters in 2002. And I realized after I got older, I was just sitting there watching movies and talking with my mom, my dead mom, on the couch. And I'm like, dude, it saddens me, but she still watched movies with me.
That's fucking awesome, dude.
That is awesome.
Oh, yeah. And that is why that is like my favorite.
I actually just remembered something when you were talking about that. I remembered something shortly after my oldest daughter was born. We weren't in the house that my father passed away in, but there is a picture that my mom had up on her headboard that was of me and him probably this summer before he passed away. Actually, 2 summers before he passed away because he was still healthy looking and all that. And so I'm in my mom's room helping her go through her dresser and all this stuff. And we've got the baby laying in between us. Like, she's only a couple months old, not old enough to be able to fixate on anything far away in a distance, And she was fixating on that picture and like up in the top corner of above the bed where that picture was, and just kept looking up there and laughing and smiling. And I looked at my mom and I was like, Dad's talking to her right now. Because my dad passed away when I was 8 years old. So he would have never seen her because this was, oh God, I was 20 plus years old when that happened.
I like that. That is awesome. This is why I love ghost stories and real life ghost experiences. Some of them are really good. Some of them are beyond terrifyingly bad.
Yeah.
But there's just something about them since I was little, since I found out, oh, I was playing with ghosts and I didn't know I was playing with ghosts.
Yeah.
Say what?
How many kids have imaginary friends? Had imaginary friends growing up that were probably ghosts.
Yep.
That is a question. In my house, my parents, I found out that even though the teachers at school told me they were imaginary, they weren't because my parents could see them. They just couldn't
Yep.
see them at school because one would usually come with me whenever I was really little.
Oh yeah.
We actually, the show that we were talking about actually touched on that in an episode early on in the show. And I looked at Raz and I was like, you know what? That actually makes sense. How many kids, say, oh, that's my imaginary friend. But then when you ask the kid to describe them, they talk about how this person looks, and they're usually in like clothing of a period, a while back, and things like that, and things that kids don't know how to describe. And these kids are able to describe it perfectly.
Oh yeah. Like in the different things that are going whenever Friday's book comes out, you guys have heard a lot of the stories
Oh yeah.
or read them in the newsletter. The lady on the hill, for all I know, is still there. She was there last time I went to Saudi Daisy, and that's been a while back. That's been 11 years. No, 10 years now. And she was still there on the hill when we went.
Mhm.
And these I don't some of them I wonder if the house has burned down, do the ghosts leave?
That's a
I
good
haven't
question.
been able to go back to my uncle's house to find that out.
Chances are no, because it's not about the physical structure.
It's about the boundary of the property line.
Boundary of the property line. Yep.
And again, we learned that from ghosts.
I mean, that's common
But common
shit
sense
from.
that
If you really look into a lot of it is the original boundary of the property, which is why sometimes, so when a ghost died like 100 years ago and had a giant farm, that ghost can be seen in multiple houses because it was later divided up into different parcels. The ghost wasn't alive then. The ghost was from the time period when the boundary of the home was.
I think that's one of the reasons why I have always said I didn't want to be buried.
Mhm.
I've always had this feeling that if I'm buried, I'm coming back as a ghost, but if they cremate me, it'll release me.
Right, right. And the thing is, houses are haunted. The ground is haunted. The house just happens to be on the ground.
And that would make sense how there are certain communities where the one ghost could be seen in multiple different other people's houses.
Yep.
And the people who believe have come together and talked about it and like, oh, she was in my basement. Oh, she was in my kid's bedroom. And it's like all of them put together. How large
Right.
was this person's property?
And that's for as many things as the show Supernatural got right, it's rare that a ghost is actually tied to an item. There's some folklore to support it, but not very strong folklore to support items. It's usually ground or people that are haunted. Now they can become obsessed with an
Yeah,
object and they can
and
follow you because you took the object, but it's rarely an object.
but that is one of the things we were wondering yesterday on the show because some ghosts weren't there until the objects were brought in.
The ghosts were fascinated with that object and followed it around because of an obsession. Typically.
That is an interesting answer.
Hmm. Or they were haunting the person that transported the object and saw a much more interesting place to hang out to pass their afterlife.
And to choose a haunt to do it, I like that idea.
I think if you're sentient as a ghost, hopefully you've got a sense of humor. If not, you're just angry. You're full of a place where people are getting scared. You know what I mean? So there's something I think
Oh,
maybe that makes them feel better.
I don't know because the ones that they had talked about around those objects weren't bad,
Right?
weren't mean. So yeah, that was curious.
Well, and that brings up the question of, again,
This is
what ghosts are actually bad or mean. To them, they're just basically living their life as they see it. So, what we see as bad and mean, it is a question of the afterlife again.
Right.
It's bringing up a whole lot of possibilities into it. I don't know if that
Oh,
makes
yeah.
any sense.
Yeah, it does. It definitely makes sense.
That they could be mad because you did a thing in their house. But then again, I've heard other ghost stories from other sensitives where the people that they'd went in to help, they had moved the everything around so they could clean up and paint the walls. And then when they got up in the middle of the night to go to the restroom, they found everything moved right back to where it was, even though the walls were wet and they'd all had it moved into the center of the floor, you know?
Yeah.
They just got mad that you moved the stuff.
And
Mhm.
to be fair, it was their house first.
Yep. Some
Yeah.
spirits get very possessive about their space and don't like anything to change because they can't change. They don't want anything else to change. And psychologically, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Then, of course, your repeaters just keep doing the same thing. They walk through walls that were doorways once before. They walk upstairs that no longer exist. I mean, there's a local story where you can see this woman climb several flights of stairs, but there's no house there.
Or like that guy who had shot who was in mom's bed and then killed himself. And then he just disappeared after he had done that.
Yep.
I like this conversation. I liked yesterday's conversation.
I want to be there so bad yesterday, man. Like, I don't even think I could stay the whole time today. Everything's just been so nuts.
I
But
know,
good
but
nuts.
that is good. And I will tell Stephen, however his name is pronounced, that you'd given one of your stories on the episode today, and he can come back and listen to it.
Yes, I have him stories personally.
I'm just glad to hear from you again.
I know, man. I've been kind of
Yes, we were
MIA for a
quiet.
while. I've been trying to pop on shows here for at least a little bit, like when I can.
I've been missing
Yes,
you.
I miss you guys so much. I really do.
I have
I
had
appreciate,
no idea what to say, so I just send gifts.
I appreciate it. I mean, it's a lot of good stuff that's going on now. It's the stress is good stress. It's like we're moving. There's a lot of things we need to do, but like we can breathe because we have a home, and that's what's been missing for what 3-4 years now. It feels like it's not having a home. It changes a lot, like psychologically, like when you have a place again.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
And I'm glad to
Like
hear that.
Yeah, I'm in a much much better headspace than I was before. I'm just trying to breathe, and I actually just temporarily dropped out of school. I finished the one degree and started the other, and I was like, you know what? I got 3 weeks, and I'm like, I need a break. I've been going to school for 8 fucking years. I need at the minimum a full semester off. So I'm actually taking time
That's
off of that to write. Well, I'm slowly trying to get back into writing more and just breathing.
Breathing
that
is
is
good.
awesome.
Yeah, I've been spending a lot of time outside on my porch, just doing nothing. Just when I can, just sitting there and just breathing.
That's good because the just being is sometimes the best way to decompress.
Oh yeah, and I found out that I had the perfect storm porch. We had a bad storm. Lightning hit something down the street and made even the cops and the EMS and fire went down that way right after it happened. And as bad as it got, up to 70-mile-an-hour gusts, I stood on that porch and barely saw or felt on the porch an actual spray of water. Hardly anything at all.
Well, good.
So I got to
That is
enjoy
awesome.
I was out there for like probably 3 hours during that storm. Oh, I got a fire pit in the backyard for when it stops storming.
Oh yeah.
I'll have to do a campfire episode. I actually had a campfire
Well, that is awesome.
That would be awesome. Because I've
that I
put
like.
you at a campfire and a Halloween story with a Bigfoot name, and you can guess why I've decided to name him Jesse, right?
Yeah, I got you. That's funny.
And you guys are teaching the kids, both you and him are teaching the how to tell stories from both y'all's culture. And Sage is listening to this as she's getting the food grilled and everything.
Hell yeah.
And then she joins in later with her story. But it's one of those I needed to bring in a couple of friends in to
Yeah,
this
I feel
story
that.
to make it better. I hope you don't mind that you were one of the friends I brought in.
Oh, of course not. Never. I never mind.
So, question: am I going to see a story from you in August?
I'm hoping so. I'm actually working on 3 separate stories right now at all different stages of being done. I'm trying to get them done within the next week or 2. I'm just trying to figure out if one of those stories will fit with that. If not, I guess I'll be writing a 4th story.
Because I
If not,
missed
we still
you
want to
in
read
this.
them.
Yeah, definitely got some ideas. I got a lot more ideas on top of what I'm doing right now, but I got that the creepypasta / chilling tales thing going on right now, and I just gave him another story not that long ago, and now I got to write 3 more for
Ooh.
him. But they just do audio rights for the most part, so I'm solid there.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
that
honestly
rocks.
missed you in this anthology. So
Man, I killed me because I have so much ready. Like I have so much stuff I'm kicking around too. I'm just trying to right now. Besides these stories, I'm almost halfway done with SIC3, which I need to speed up on a little bit. I just got my full feedback from my teacher for my dissertation thing. One of my whatever it was called. For Scream Park, which Haunted Hospital is now called Scream Park. So
Okay, awesome.
that might be done this year. I don't know, but SIC3 definitely will be. And I'm wanting to wrap up the first novella for the Hunter's Handbook thing too.
that would be
That would
awesome.
be amazing.
Yeah, good. Lots of ideas, and I'm going to have more time to write. So, but now we're also doing a June event at the Haunt, which, like the 421, are going to be permanent events. So we're doing things more year round, but we're expanding our movie night from one night to a full weekend on Friday the 13th and 14th.
I'm
That
still
is
hoping
awesome.
to come in June. I mean, not June, but October
Yes,
for our
man.
year visit.
Yeah, Fred was asking me if you guys were going to come volunteer again for a night.
Hey, but the best part about us having a haunt on the 13th and 14th of June is I finally get to experience a haunt birthday.
Yeah. Me and Hunt, me
Yay!
and Matt often get them, but Brooke never gets them.
Real good if Fred would do a St. Patty's Day event.
Yeah, we talked about it, St. Patty's Day. It's just too close to Valentine's Day for us to like turn around. Because now our thing is we're building a bunch of new rooms and switching entire scenes before every event, and again before season starts. So it actually helps us space our build out and build all year round, and it causes a lot less stress. We just built a giant arcade in Main Street. We tore apart the room that you were in last time, Patty, and that is now the equivalent of an abandoned Spirit Halloween store because we took down the wall between those 2 rooms.
Well, hopefully by time we come in October, my foot will be healed and I'll be able to actually enjoy the haunt without being crippled.
Dude, if you come back and you are, that's
That would
okay
be
because we can switch you over to the asylum and I can put you in a wheelchair because we have actors in wheelchairs in there.
Yes.
I got you.
Oh yeah, and viewers, my kid's school allowed her to use the Harshman House, Riverside Chronicles, the Harshman House, for her book report, and she got 106%. So your schools may allow you to do a kid's horror book too. So that is her recommendation to all of you guys because I think this is the 4th read.
Oh yeah.
Tell them what you just found out is going to happen at the convention.
Oh, I did final this convention I'm doing in 2 weeks from today. Final boss over in Rio Grande, Ohio, on the border of West Virginia and Ohio. I think Gallipolis is also over there. I met someone that bought. I think they bought Riverside Chronicles and book 1 and 2 of SIC at the time.
Last year, yeah.
Last year, messaged me earlier this week, and wanted to know if they could be listed as my biggest fan, because ever since meeting me, they've read both books multiple times, and they've gone and read other stuff I've done, and they're obsessed with my writing, and not a stalkery way, but wanted to get permission if she could do a cosplay of Riker. And I was just fucking floored. And she's like, "Would that offend you?" I'm like, "First of all, no, that would not offend me. Not only that, but like you're doing a gender bend Riker, which is even more awesome to me. Like that's special right there. And you can
He's
do whatever
epic.
you want as long as you run with it and you're creative." And I promised her that when I meet her and everything, I'll give her hugs, sign anything extra she needs for free, and I'm gonna give her probably an arc of 3 when it comes out this year.
That will be amazing.
Works.
I can't wait to see that.
All you have to
And-
do is get an address from her email wise,
Yep.
and
Yep.
we can definitely do the arc. That's not a problem.
And I'm excited because the last time I met a fan, they became my sister / best friend, and that's Jenny. So like that's really cool.
Yeah, I hope she becomes such a good friend too. And oh yeah,
Thank you.
viewers, on the blog, the Fake Horror blog, you're gonna find this adorable little boy in a Ninja Turtles mask and a sword, and that is his Lincoln
I love it so much.
That was an
cosplay.
adorable cosplay.
That made
It
me
really
smile so
was.
big that day.
So yeah, Lincoln's Halloween. He loved that story because we read it on my computer, and then we found sister's copy, and then it lives in his bed. So he sleeps with it.
One of Fred's
love this
youngest
kid.
grandson, we call him Goat. That's his nickname. He saw a Lincoln book sitting on the table one day because I sell books at the haunt. He's like, "What's this?" And Michelle's like, "Do you want me to read it to you?" And he said, "Yeah." So she sat down and read him the book, and he stole the copy from me and keeps taking it everywhere.
That is
awesome.
Goat's adorable.
See, I told you, you write amazing things.
You really do.
You will get another Riverside Tales for sure for Kids Book Week, though. That's a guarantee.
Okay.
Last year with Lincoln, a mom had to buy his last 2 copies because she had twins, and she was only going to buy 1 copy. But the twin she set down to get her money out took the other copy and just took off with it. And she's like, "I guess I'm buying them both."
Well, she bought herself a copy of Riverside, so it worked out. Riverside Chronicles. So.
That is
Don't
so
blame her.
awesome, though.
I did give away a couple copies of Lincoln. One was to a very brave Indian girl. I think she was 5 or 6 years old. No, she was 6 or 7 years old. She'd never been to a haunt and wanted to be brave, and she was terrified. Well, she met Matt as Props the Clown outside the haunt, just walk around outside a little bit, and kind of fell in love with him. And she said she would go all the way through and be brave if Matt would walk her through, and he did. And when I met her, and when I met her, we were all so excited. We're talking to her, but I forgot to give her a book. But then she came back for our community candy day, so I actually gave her a signed book of Lincoln for being so brave. And I think I gave out 2. Yeah, I gave 2.
You gave 2 out that day.
Yeah, I gave 2 other books out during the season to brave kids that had never gone to a haunt before and that were excited and braved their way through it. Hey, you were brave like Lincoln. Here you go, man. So now I have to keep those books around to give out to special kids that are doing this for their
The
first time.
parents thought it was the best thing ever for somebody to just, "Oh, your kid, how much is the book?" "No, your kid did this. They deserve it."
Yeah, just take it.
Yeah, that is awesome.
And some of the parents bought books too, so that was great. I didn't do it for that, but it was cool.
It's always cool when you get somebody that actually, wants your book.
Yeah. This was the convention I killed it at last time in one day, so I'm really hoping that this 2-day I can sell it.
I hope
But
so
we'll
too.
see. If not, I met a lot of awesome people last year, and I'm seeing some of them again, and get a chance to meet a lot of new people.
Oh yeah.
The guy that
And-
did the voice for Majin Buu in Dragon Ball Z is going to be there.
Oh, neat.
Dude, that is epic.
Yep,
That
the
is
original art creator for Mortal Kombat's going to be there. There's a couple.
Professor Oak,
Oh yeah, Professor Oak from Pokemon is going to be there.
he's there every year, apparently.
Oh, yeah,
he
yeah,
lives
he's
in
there
the
every year,
area.
yeah.
He lives in the area.
And what's his name from Night of the Living Dead?
Oh, One of the original creators, not
It was George Romero and another guy, and everybody forgets the other guy's name. I know his damn name. I met him a bunch of times. I'll
he's
remember
actually
later.
the one that did like Return of the Living Dead and the
Yeah, he ended up splitting off for Return of the Living Dead.
but he's always there. And then the actress, she's a voice actress for Tifa in the
Final Fantasy VII.
in the Final Fantasy VII games, but she also in Glow on Netflix. She played the goth wrestler.
Yep.
Oh,
The goth
neat.
metal wrestler.
That is epic.
So Matt doesn't get to get his Rita Repulsa this year.
Yeah, he meant Rita Repulsa from the original Rita Repulsa from Power Rangers last time.
That is awesome.
She was a sweetheart too.
Dude, it took him all day to get up the nerve to go to her booth.
And she would like grin at him when he walked by, and he'd look faster.
And he had an eye line. Like literally, he set his chair up
She waved at us a bunch of times.
in our booth because if you looked right across, like all the way across the convention center, you saw her booth. Our booths were like directly across from each other, but across the entire hall.
Yeah.
And he put his seat in just the right spot so he could
Stare at her all
watch her
day.
the whole time.
And she's gorgeous too, so it makes perfect sense.
And this is why Matt plays Friday the 13th, Jason Friday the 13th on our movie nights, because he's a stalker.
Oh yes.
Dude, that is awesome. Okay. Dude, that is fine, Patty. And how about we do a quick commercial break and then come back? And if I'm not back in time, that's because of how far the restroom is from my computer right now. So
I actually
let's
need
do
to go
'cause
now.
we haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I actually need to get out of here now.
Okay.
I got some stuff I got to handle before it gets too late. But I love you guys very much, and I'm so happy to see you. And
Love you
I'll
too.
hopefully be around more often.
Good, because we want you around more
I hope
often.
so.
Yay! I'll see y'all soon.
Yeah, it's been an hour and a half. We could just end the show now too. So yeah. Okay, guys.
Okay.
Mwah! Love you.
Love you guys.
Let's
Bye.
do commercial and
Bye.
end the show. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Greetings and shabibans. We are the Retro Reductibus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Well, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite Steve's trying to say is that on Retro Redoctopus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Door King Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Octopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.